on June the 13th at the Abuja National Stadium. New presidents, some return, were elected into the different boards of the National Sports Federations. For badminton, it is Frank Orbih. Joins us now live in the studio to tell us about his plans for the sport. Frank, good to have you on Sports Tonight.
Thank you, Austin.
Okay, I followed the elections, covered it, a lot of talks here and there. Some persons exchange blows that we don't need to see from our administrators. But what was it like for badminton, the electoral process?
Well, very peaceful, and we didn't have any issues at all. Well organized the election, and at the end of the day, everybody was happy. Yeah.
So it went very well with badminton.
Very well.
Okay, but then, Franco, first things first, is there love in the badminton family?
Badminton is a game of love. I mean, that is a popular saying. So, love always. And even though the election came, we had different camps. At the end of it all, we were able to come together as a family in the spirit of love and friendship that the game stands for. So, I mean, immediately after the game, I was invited over by a club in Kaduna to come help join them breakfast. And all the clubs in Kaduna and environs all came. It was a very huge crowd, and it was quite heartwarming. So, I mean, some people were in the other camp were there, and everybody had one or two things to say about the game. And at the end of the day, you could see that everybody was concerned about the family coming together and moving the game forward in Nigeria, which is the most critical thing.
I think that's what we should do, because without unity, if the board doesn't come together to work as a team,
we can't go anywhere. Yeah.
I totally agree. Previously, you were the vice president of the Nigeria Badminton Federation. Now, president, tell me some of the things you saw that weren't good back in the day that you will change.
Like I promised during the campaigns, our players didn't have a busy calendar for tournaments. We had a few, but they were not enough. So one of the first things we are going to do is to make sure that we have enough tournaments to keep our players busy. Because no matter how long you train as a player, if you don't have tournaments to play, there's no way you can know how good you are in the game. So that is one critical area. Then the grassroots. I'll tell you something. What has happened, why today Nigeria is not #1 in Africa? Some few years back, we were #1. Now, those players who were #1, we didn't groom the younger ones to step into their shoes. We don't have enough young players to step into the shoes of the top players. So, as they were getting to the peak of their careers, we didn't have people to replace them. That's why right now, we are struggling in the continent. So what we are going to do, we are going to focus on grassroots development. We are taking the game back to the schools. We want to be able to catch those young players at a very young age, nurture them and bring them up to become champions and world beaters. So it's an area also, because that is the only way the game can get very popular. Years back, it used to be played in a lot of schools, but now the game is gradually, that's why the world body brought a program a few years ago, which they also introduced in Nigeria, called the Shuttle Time, taking the badminton game back to the schools. So we are going to really emphasize on that, focus on it, and make sure that we make it work.
I think that's the right thing to do. Let's stay with developing the sport. There's this common enemy to sports in Nigeria. It's called funding. How will you tackle that?
Well, I've always, I'm one of those who has always shared the view and strong opinion that no matter how much government puts into sports, they can never fund it alone. So I've always held the opinion that sponsorship from the corporate bodies and, good-spirited individuals is very critical. But how do you attract? You see, you can't just meet people or meet a company or corporate body to say, bring money for this sport. You must make it presentable. You must make it attractive. Right. They must know that they are going to get value for their money. They must also be assured that whatever money they are putting in will be properly utilized. Those are the key things. And sometimes we've not been able to get those things right. So a lot of times, sports, we say, you see a lot of games or sporting bodies, they say they don't have enough sponsorship. We are going to be very aggressive, and we are going to present something to the corporate world. We are going to present something that people will want to identify with. Once something is successful, everybody will want to key into it. Right. So we are going to repackage the game, and we're going to make it marketable, and we're going to make it attractive.
And for a sport that can be used for leisure and does not have any age limit, you'd expect badminton to thrive. Now, you say you're going to be aggressive in terms of packaging this sport. What are some of the things? You've mentioned going to the schools. What are some of the things? Why should I see badminton on TV and want to watch?
because it's a very fantastic game. It's a very interesting game. Now, I'm happy you said no age limit. In the course of campaigns, I came to realize that badminton is actually very popular in Nigeria. It's growing by the day. But amongst the veterans, in Kaduna State alone, you have over 20 private badminton clubs.
Wow.
Yeah, in Abuja, over 20. You go to parks, you go to hotels, gardens, they are building. It's an indoor game, quite all right. But a lot of people are they are enjoying it so much that they are doing outdoor courts. Right. At least let them make do what they can. You know, so we are going to actually key into this area of the game. We are going to approach veterans who love this game, who are passionate about the game. We have a lot of people who are ready to even put money to sponsor, but they want to see something that is properly organized and well, you know, put together. So that is what we are going to do.
Oh, we're talking to Frank Orbih. He is the president-elect of the Badminton Federation of Nigeria. We're looking at ways we can develop badminton in Nigeria. You can be part of the program. Send us questions, comments, your suggestions as regards everything that he has been talking about. We want you a part of nation building. You can talk to us on Twitter, channels_sports, Facebook, channels-sports. You can also send us an email to sportstonight@channelstv.com. Frank, let's talk about an all-inclusive program. I get to speak to some female players. Was it 2-3 years ago at the Lagos Classics, and they said that they're not being carried along. How are you going to make sure that everybody feels the developmental plans that you have in stock?
No, we are not going to be discriminatory. And that's why, for example, I give an example of last year's first Lagos Governors Southwest Championship. In the past, prize money for a male category is always higher than the female. And I am one of those who has always believed that they should be the same. So last year, we did it. The prize money for male was 150,000 for first prize, and the female was 150,000. We are going to give them equal treatment, equal opportunities to grow. We are going to really look for female players. I can tell you something. You know, Nigeria, the first Nigerian badminton Olympian was a female. Wow. Orbih Edoga, then, now Mrs. Solaja. She was the first Nigerian to go for Olympics, and that was a female. So, I mean, there's no way we will not pay attention to the female players. We are going to carry everybody along, that I can assure you.
The Lagos Badminton Classics actually did put badminton into the eyes of some followers. It stopped last year. We did something. Is that going to come back?
26th to 29th of July. It's already in the world calendar, and the Lagos State has already approved it. And we're already working hard to put up a very good competition, especially as last year's edition did not hold. So this is the third edition coming up this year, and it's going to be big.
The former president of the Badminton Federation of Nigeria is now in charge of the African Confederation of Badminton. That comes as cheering news to us. Are you guys going to work hand in hand to make sure that proper development comes to the sport in Nigeria?
Definitely, because having a Nigerian as the African president is a plus. We are going to take full advantage of that, because it's only when you have somebody at that level that you have a voice there. At least you will be able to stand there to take decisions that will favor our country, and we will definitely work very closely with him.
Sounds good. Harry Wala, thank you. We got your message. It says you need to stage tournaments, draw fans to give sponsors the numbers to market their products.
Definitely.
You mentioned that also. Okay, so we're taking a look at badminton in Nigeria. We are trying to make you know the leaders that you hold accountable, just in case anything is going wrong with the sport badminton. This is the man, Frank Orbih, is the president-elect of the Badminton Federation of Nigeria. Frank, before we let you go, any final words towards the development of the sport in Nigeria?
Well, what I would like to say is during the campaigns, I'll tell you something, some experience. There was this talk about most of the things I put up as having done in badminton in Nigeria were mainly done in Lagos and Southwest. So, especially my opponents raised the issue that, oh, if I become president, I'm going to focus on Lagos and Southwest. But I made a point. I'm Lagos State chairman. Lagos State gives me money to organize a tournament. I'm not going to organize it in Enugu. Definitely not. I have to do it in Lagos. So now I've become president. I have become president of the whole country. So we are going to have programs all over the country. Some people say badminton is being brought to the South. It's coming back to the South. Badminton has come to stay everywhere in Nigeria. So anywhere people are ready to play the game, there we are ready to go. So I would just want to reassure badminton lovers, stakeholders, that the game is going to grow by God's grace. We're going to put in every effort to make it one of the most popular sports and games in Nigeria.
Totally agree, and we'll hold you accountable to it. Thanks so much, Frank
Thank
Orbih,
you.
for coming on the program. Says it's going to ensure that badminton takes a step, forward in Nigeria and gets the development that stakeholders of badminton want.